One of the most discussed elements of The Simpsons amongst the fandom is the Golden Age. Where does the run of perfect episodes start, and where does it end? What doesn't get debated is the worst episode, lowest ranked on IMDb by fans and on every worst episode listicle. This is the universally hated Lisa Goes Gaga. I've avoided this episode for a long time, based on that word of mouth, but I do think it is time to change that. I am a modern Simpsons apologist and someone who wants to like the things that he watches, so maybe I'll be able to find some good in it. Let's do this. So like I said, internet, up until now I have avoided this episode. When it came out, I was still watching new episodes when they aired, but if I missed one for whatever reason, I wouldn't go out of my way to find it. If the universe wanted me to see it, the reruns would deliver. I generally enjoy newer Simpsons more than the average fan, and I am not the type to hate watch, so I didn't feel like it was worth my time. That said, it has been over 10 years since that episode came out, and I think that that gives us ample room for a reappraisal of the episode, and since it will be my first time watching it, I think I can do so divorced from what the common views of it were at the time. I'm sure I'm not the first to do this. I haven't looked into that yet, since I don't want to sway my own thoughts, but I'm sure someone else has covered this episode before. That said, after I finish this, I will look into all of it and leave some of the others that I find in the description. All that said, I don't want to jump straight into my own thoughts, because first I want to go over why people hate this. Lisa Goes Gaga is the season 23 finale, going all in on getting Lady Gaga as a celebrity guest. A big get at the time, because this was in the height of her popularity, right in between Born This Way and Art Pop, two phenomenal albums where it felt like everything Gaga did was a hit. So while I do think a lot of people like Lisa episodes less than others, something that could be an entire video in and of itself, I don't think that is a major player here. It very well could be for some people, but I don't think that that would be enough to create the level of disdain towards this episode that it has. Looking across various platforms, people refer to Lisa Goes Gaga as soulless, working just as an advertisement for Lady Gaga's new album instead of focusing on good writing. And this kind of critique, in some variation of intensity, are coming not only from Simpsons fans, who often hold newer seasons in poor regards compared to the classic era, but Lady Gaga fans as well. You know you gotta do something wrong when the stands aren't on your side. You could say they weren't gaga for the episode. In writing on the episode, Isaac Williams says,
"There's not much more to it, however. The episode remains a surface-level showcase for Lady Gaga and nothing more."
And Christine Perso for Screen Rant wrote,
"While the idea to run an episode that teaches kids to have confidence and feel better about themselves was great, the delivery was not."
Both tapping in on the perceived shallowness of the episode. Though not everyone who writes about this episode is purely negative. Multiple critics were more positive than negative. Rowan Kaiser wrote a mostly positive review for the AV Club, but even he pointed out that the episode is really just a Gaga puff piece.
If you wanted to call it a half-hour commercial for Lady Gaga, you probably wouldn't be wrong.
And that seems to be the overall vibe of the episode. At its best, the episode is fine, but no matter who you ask, it is clearly the show pulling its punches to be flattering to the celebrity guest. But I still haven't seen it, so I should get to that. So it isn't great. I'm not gonna lie to you, internet. I was really hoping that I'd be coming out of this with some radical, contrarian take ready to break down the episode's secret greatness, but that was not the case. Would I call this episode the worst of the worst? Probably not, and we can get into that, but this episode is fine. It is just fine. It's fine. I feel like for an episode to have the reputation of being the worst one, it has to be proper, upsetting, and insulting. But that is just not the case. Lisa Goes Gaga's great sin is being a flat, innocuous story. Let's get into it. The episode is built around the structure of Lady Gaga visiting Springfield to cheer them up because they are a full town of low self-esteem. This sets up the major issue where it paints Gaga as a benevolent, caring being who wants to help everyone she can. they never really stray from this, with the most depth they give her being when she gets sad she couldn't help Lisa. This gets to the core of the critique given to the episode, that it is only trying to hype up Lady Gaga's image. I've seen it said that this episode does not have any Stephanie Germanotta in it, only Lady Gaga, and that is something I agree with. There is no true humanity on display in this portrayal, it is only the positive. That is disappointing, because that is not how a satirical TV show like this should operate, even in a puff piece. The crutch of the episode is the dynamic between Lisa and Gaga. Is made her special project in the episode because she hates the fact that she is the least popular kid in school, only made worse by the fact that she tried to pose as another anonymous person to hype herself up. I actually really like her doing that. It feels like a real thing a kid would do. I know there's plenty of people who have actually done things like that, asking themselves anonymous question on Tumblr to make themselves look good, or having dummy accounts on Twitter or wherever else just to boost their engagement. It makes sense, it's humanistic and an understandable dumb thing a child would do. The problem is, pairing up Lisa with Gaga doesn't lead to any major storytelling moments, even though it comes close. I like Lisa taking a stand against a celebrity's empty inspirational platitudes, only for it to end up being her being mean to Gaga, essentially making her the villain of the scene. The problem being that this doesn't actually lead to anything for the Gaga character. She doesn't learn that blanket platitudes aren't enough, it doesn't prompt her to make real human connections with Lisa at all. All it does is make her sad that she couldn't help, only for Lisa to apologize because Gaga did teach her the importance of being herself, somehow.
You did help me by allowing me to inappropriately focus 8 years of rage and rejection on you.
This is an unearned ending that could have been so much better if they had put a little more effort into the relationship between them, and if they had given a proper arc to Lady Gaga, the episode could have worked a lot better. There are some gags that are whatever, like dressing Maggie up in a Gaga-style look, that would be easier to forgive if the episode's emotional core worked better. I try not to judge episodes of a show against other episodes too much when watching them, but with something like The Simpsons that have had so many episodes, it's hard not to do. Character episodes often follow a standard formula that they can deviate from in certain amounts, and Lisa is definitely an example of that. Episodes where she's an outsider to her family and or peers, which is something that this episode does. This formula leads to some great episodes, like Lisa's Substitute, where Lisa connects with an older mentor figure and grows from it. That episode works a lot better and also has a celebrity guest star, Dustin Hoffman using the pseudonym Sam Eddick, and is built more around the storytelling than celebrity status. You also have a similar story in Moaning Lisa, where Bleeding's Gum Murphy is a mentor to Lisa. Again, focus more on the story and characters than any stunt casting, and I think that these episodes really should have been more of a template for Lisa Goes Gaga. Obviously, you don't want to be repeating yourself one-to-one, but a focus on a character relationship really is the key to a Lisa episode, because she is so different from everyone around her, and it could have been an easy win to have Gaga drop the persona and admit how hard it was for her growing up as an outsider herself. But despite all that, I do think that there are some solid bits in this episode, and I do want to highlight them because I hate only focusing on the negative when there is good things as well. Like I said, Lisa's sock puppet account was a solid plot point, and the following bullying felt like real kid bullying. There is a mix of silliness and outright mean that really felt like what actual kids do, specifically the bit Curly does,
I shoot loser lasers!
It just works. I also really like these signs for Springfield we see while Gaga is on her train. The Simpsons always nails a good sign-based gag. Homer's attempt to cheer Lisa up is another really solid comedic scene. From him climbing the wrong tree to the speech he gives, which is all pretty good, I think it is the best use of the rest of the family in the episode, and Lisa's response to it is what really makes that moment great.
Like always, the fact that I could tune you out without fearing I'd miss out on something gave me the time to take stock.
And all of this is not to mention the Gaga outfits, both the replicas of her real ones and the original designs for the episode look good, and I think if the episode was better, the song at the end would be less cringe than it ended up being. Not to mention this whole bit, which is so perfectly out of pocket, on par with the best of Family Guy. While it does feel a little cheap, I do think that it is a few small tweaks away from being a much better one, echoing some of the great past episodes. But before we end this, there is something else I want to talk about, and that is, as we all know, The Simpsons as a show is no stranger to celebrity guests. All the way back to the first season with Albert Brooks doing 2 episodes, I assume because of his working relationship with James L. Brooks, who directed him in several films, including Broadcast News, that earned Albert an Oscar nomination. Kelsey Grammer, Penny Marshall, Harvey Fierstein, Danny DeVito, all amongst the celebrities to do guest appearances in the early seasons, but all of them playing characters. They were not there to play off their own iconography, at least not entirely. James Earl Jones in Treehouse of Horror is playing off of the uniqueness of his voice, but not in a, oh look, it's James Earl Jones kind of way. All of these early guest stars are playing characters specifically written not to have a famous voice, but to tell the story at hand. Look at Dustin Hoffman in Lisa's Substitute. He is a fully formed character that could have been played by not only a number of different possible celebrities, but even by one of the show's regular cast, and it wouldn't be a problem. The only real tip of the hat to Hoffman in the role is Krabappel reenacting a scene from The Graduate with him, one that I'm sure they only added when he signed on. That said, I do think that that joke plays without knowing he was playing Bergstrom, as was the case for most of the people my age watching it growing up. Another great example of this is Martin Sheen in the fan-favorite episode, The Principal and the Pauper. I like it! The first real celebrity as themselves cameo is in the second season, where Tony Bennett, who is performing the music in the scene, is revealed to be actually there singing. A classic kind of bit. Austin Powers has used a similar gag several times, but with The Simpsons, it is a template for how the show's use of celebrity cameos functioned for a long while. Celebrities playing themselves, poking light fun at their persona, their career, or the entertainment industry as a whole. It happens all the time, like Aerosmith making appearances at Moe's because the bar got super popular, or the baseball players in Homer at the Bat, where the joke is all the crazy things happening to these professional athletes who got drafted into this conflict. And all of those examples are similar cameo parts, but this formula still works when the celebrities take on larger roles. In When You Wish Upon a Star from season 10, Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger, and Ron Howard are all supporting players in a story instead of just cameos. This is the kind of story I think Lisa Goes Gaga could have been, because these famous characters are integral to the plot, but the writing is willing to poke fun at them, and because of that, feels in line with The Simpsons, a show that, especially at this time, is trying to make every scene as full of jokes at everyone and anything involved. Something about Lisa Goes Gaga feels more in line with some of the more random later season gag cameos, like when Chris Martin showed up performing with Coldplay.
I have to go to the bathroom.
So, where are you from, Homer?
Here.
These jokes feel in no way specific to them, feeling more like a cameo for the sake of a cameo.
Do you think you could use someone like me in your band?
Yeah, come on up, you can play the tambourine.
I said someone like me, I didn't say me.
No real bite behind them. All in all, if you are going to do a celeb puff piece, The Simpsons have found a better version of doing that a decade later, as seen in When Billy Met Lisa. This is a 4-minute short with Billie Eilish they made for Disney Plus, and does a good job highlighting a cute little interaction and a performance between Lisa and a pop star without bloating an entire episode out of it. And while I do think that these shorts hold a lot less weight and can often feel more like content for the sake of content for your streaming service, at the same time, they don't feel as forced as an entire episode, and I do honestly feel like that is the better option. Lastly, let's take a second to acknowledge that there is a worse version of Lisa Goes Gaga, and it is The Musk Who Fell to Earth. This episode obviously follows Elon Musk as he comes to Springfield. It feels similarly like a puff piece, but with a failed attempt to fit in the more When You Wish Upon a Star mold, but worse. Al Jean said that they didn't want to just make this a kiss-ass celebrity episode, but I found the jokes about Musk's ego to come off more like he is trying to show off how cool and chill he is, as he has many other times over the years. While I admit I am inclined not to like Musk because of his everything, I gotta say, at least with the Lady Gaga episode, they are at least trying to have a message about self-love that, even if it didn't work out as well, had a bit more to it than just stroking a celebrity ego. So yeah, Lisa Goes Gaga is not some secret amazing episode, but it is not even the worst version of this kind of Simpsons story, let alone the worst of them all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I need to give a special shout out to my friends who did voice work for this video. They all have channels that I will link in the description. You should check them out. They all make real fun stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, have a good one.